you think this is supposed to be the life. Poverty, stress, this shit is like gravity. You experience that at such an early age that you learn that this is just a part of the earth. That this is what happens. This is the natural phenomenon of what happens as you matriculate through earth.
For months, fans have been asking the same question. Why hasn't Marsau Scott spoken about Melody's struggles? We've seen the signs, the social media posts and the messages, but Marsau has stayed quiet. And you know what they say? Silence can say a lot.
And it's only when we realize that, hey bro, you ain't gotta live like that, do we start saying, do I not? I'm sorry, is this a bad thing? You are running against the wind your whole life.
From public feuds to messy breakups, Melody has always been in the spotlight. But recently, something changed. Fans started noticing a shift. Her energy seemed off. The confident, outspoken woman they were used to now looked drained, distant, and at times, completely overwhelmed. Social media told its own story. Melody's posts became more cryptic, filled with messages that hinted at emotional struggles. Some thought she was just venting about the usual drama, but others sensed something deeper. One moment she was lashing out, then suddenly disappearing. A pattern was forming, but most people ignored it. Then came the live streams. Melody looked stressed, speaking in circles, sometimes even fighting back tears. She talked about betrayal, the pressure of always being strong, and feeling alone. Fans debated whether it was just the weight of public scrutiny. Close friends seemed to pull away. Melody, once highly engaged, started avoiding public events. Even those who had stood by her through past controversies suddenly went silent. This wasn't just a rough patch. Something was different. Naturally, theories started flying. Some believed it was just stress, years of non-stop drama finally catching up to her. Others suspected something more personal. Was it about her past relationships, the ongoing legal battles? Or was there something no one had pieced together yet? Some fans pointed out that Melody had hinted at feeling betrayed by those closest to her. Others wondered if she was struggling with anxiety or depression, especially since she had withdrawn from the public eye. But one thing was clear: the signs were there, and no one realized how serious it was until now. With everything coming to light, people are now asking, what did Marsau really know? Some sources claim he was aware of Melody's struggles long before they became public. According to insiders, Marsau had been keeping a close eye on her situation, but instead of speaking up, he stayed silent. Some believe he was just respecting her privacy, not wanting to get involved in something so personal. But others aren't so sure. Was he protecting himself? Was there information he didn't want getting out? Marsau and Melody have always had a complicated dynamic. Even when things were rocky, he never seemed completely indifferent. So why did it take him this long to say something? Did he think speaking out would only make things worse? Or was there something deeper? Something he wasn't ready to reveal? Now fans are questioning whether Marsau's silence was intentional. Did he know how bad things had gotten for Melody? And if so, why didn't he say something sooner?
Here's the thing. What I would encourage people to do, all right? It gets a negative connotation and makes it seem like it's weakness, but it's not, right? Look at depression or look at mental health like you look at ankle injury. Like doc said, I gotta stay off it for a couple weeks and I'll be better. Like, I'm not saying run to the hospital for everything, but at the end of the day, if the problem persists, go see a doctor.
After months of silence, Marsau finally spoke, but instead of a dramatic tell-all, his response was careful and controlled. There was no big revelation, no emotional breakdown, just a well-worded statement that left fans with more questions than answers. Marsau didn't deny knowing about Melody's struggles, but he also didn't express regret for staying silent. His tone was neutral, almost distant, as if he wanted to acknowledge the situation without getting too involved. Some fans saw this as maturity, maybe he didn't want to add to the drama. But others weren't convinced. To them, his words felt rehearsed, as if he was choosing them carefully to protect himself rather than to offer real insight. One of the most talked about parts of Marsau's statement was what he didn't say. He never denied knowing more than he let on, but he also didn't confirm anything significant. It felt like he was walking a fine line, acknowledging the situation without making himself a part of it. Some fans believe this was intentional. Marsau has always been strategic about his public image, and this statement seemed like another calculated move. Instead of showing clear support or distancing himself completely, he stayed in the middle, just enough to seem aware, but not enough to take real responsibility, one fan commented. Marsau always knows how to say just enough without actually saying anything. This was pure damage control, not genuine concern for Melody. Another added, if he really cared, he would have spoken up when it mattered, not when people started questioning him. This was all about saving face. But here's the real question. If Marsau truly cared about Melody's well-being, why did it take him so long to say anything? And why did his response feel more like a PR move than a real reaction? Marsau never directly called out Melody, but fans noticed subtle jabs hidden in his words. Instead of making it about her struggles, he framed it as a complicated situation that affected everyone involved. By shifting the language, he made it seem like Melody's issues weren't just personal, but something that impacted those around her too. By keeping his words vague, Marsau left plenty of room for interpretation. He never accused Melody of anything, but he also didn't fully defend her. Melody never outright accused Melody of anything, but some fans felt he was subtly shifting the focus. Instead of directly saying she was struggling, he hinted at tensions, misunderstandings, and how people only see one side of the story. This kind of wording can easily change public perception. Instead of painting Melody as the victim, it made the situation seem like something that affected everyone, including Marsau himself. Was this his way of saying he had to deal with more than people realized? And if so, was he trying to gain sympathy without looking like the bad guy? Marsau has always been careful with his public image, and this response was no different. By making his statement about the bigger picture, rather than Melody's personal struggles, he subtly changed the narrative. Instead of a story about Melody's downfall, it became a conversation about perspective, misunderstandings, and how the truth is never as simple as it seems. He never called her out directly, but the message was loud and clear. The moment Marsau broke his silence, social media exploded. On one side, some fans felt he was simply protecting himself. They argued that he had every right to stay silent for as long as he did. After all, not everything needs to be addressed publicly. Some even praised his approach, calling it mature and strategic for avoiding unnecessary drama. To them, his measured response proved he wasn't feeding into the chaos. But then, there were those who weren't buying it. Many accused Marsau of being dismissive, saying his response felt cold and calculated rather than. It didn't take long for other cast members and reality TV personalities to weigh in. Some spoke on the situation without naming names, while others were more direct. Speculation grew that insiders knew far more than they were letting on. Even industry experts chimed in, suggesting that Marsau's silence wasn't about Melody at all. It was about protecting his own image. If he had spoken earlier, would it have exposed something he didn't want out there? The internet is buzzing, but the real question is, what happens next? This situation isn't just about Melody or Marsau anymore. It highlights something much bigger, the mental toll of reality TV. For years, fans have watched reality stars crumble under pressure, but the industry rarely acknowledges the damage it causes. These shows thrive on drama, pushing cast members into high-stress situations just for entertainment. The constant scrutiny, online hate, and personal attacks can take a serious toll on mental health. Melody's struggles aren't unique. Many reality TV stars have spoken out about the emotional and psychological challenges they face behind the scenes. From manipulated storylines to the pressure of always being on, it's no surprise that some stars struggle. How, here's the real question, did Marsau contribute to this toxic environment, or was he just another victim of it? Some argue that by staying silent, he played a role in Melody's downward spiral. If he knew she was struggling, why didn't he step in sooner? Even if they weren't on good terms, basic human decency would suggest he should have shown some public support. On the other hand, others believe Marsau was just caught in the crossfire. Reality TV thrives on conflict, and no one is completely innocent. Maybe he stayed silent because he didn't want to be dragged into something bigger than himself.
Only when you find out that people aren't, that you're amazed, right? It's like when you found out that having cable in every room wasn't rich. Like having healthcare and braces and shit wasn't, having Capri Sun wasn't rich.
At this point, the big question is, can Marsau and Melody ever make peace? Based on how things have played out, reconciliation seems unlikely. Their tension isn't just about this recent controversy, it's built up over time, layered with years of drama, misunderstandings, and unspoken resentment. Even though Marsau's response wasn't outright confrontational, it didn't exactly extend an olive branch either. Melody's personal struggles have been exposed for the world to see, and if she feels betrayed or unsupported by Marsau, fixing their relationship might not even be on her priority list. Then there's the business side of things. Marsau has built a brand around his public image, and this controversy could shake things up. While some fans are standing by him, others feel he handled this poorly, either by staying silent for too long or by sounding too calculated when he finally spoke. In reality TV, perception is everything. If the backlash grows, it could affect his future opportunities, sponsorships, or even his role on the show. And if there's one thing we've seen before, it's that fan reactions do matter. As for Melody, this moment could define her next steps in the industry. If she decides to step away from the spotlight, it could give her a chance to heal without public scrutiny. But if she chooses to speak out, it might open up a much bigger conversation. One about reality TV, mental health, and the toll of constant public exposure. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think about Marsau's response? Was he being genuine, or is there more to the story? Should he have spoken up sooner, or was his silence justified? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We need to hear where you stand on this one. And if you thought this situation was intense, just wait, because the drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. We've got more shocking updates coming, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing.